is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Chuds BBQ. My name is Bradley Robinson, and today I'm going to show you how I made this beautiful, delicious, smoky, cheesy, amazing brisket enchiladas. Coming up. This is a brisket. Pat it dry. And what I got here is a USDA Prime brisket. Picked this up at my local HEB, and this one's actually grass-fed, which I've cooked once before. If you check out my baked potato video from a few years back, that was the only other time I ever cooked one of these. And I usually don't pick them up because they're a little more expensive. This one was $6 a pound, making this a $98 brisket, which is not ideal. But last time I cooked one of these, marbling turned out to be really great. It was cooked and ate and tasted just like a regular grain finished brisket, so I'm not really sure what the deal is, but the only reason I got this is because that's all they had today. So, first thing we're gonna do is get this thing trimmed up, same way we always do, starting with this big chunk of deckle fat on the back. Peel that out of there. Save that for sausage or tallow. Then I'm gonna clean up this backside just a little bit, make sure everything's nice and aerodynamic and nicely cleaned up. And take this feathered edge down a little bit and just round everything off to make it look pretty. Backside looking all right. Gonna flip this over. Weird shape on this brisket. I'm just gonna go ahead and scoop this front pocket of fat out and start taking down the fat cap because it's pretty thick. Don't need all of that. Not the prettiest looking brisket I've ever seen, nor the sharpest knife I've ever used, but that's all right. Chud scrape. Fat's looking pretty good. Scalped it a couple times, but I'm not too worried about it. Flipping it over, take this point down a little bit, scoop some of that fat out. Beautiful. And now it's time to give this thing some shape. And because it's kind of weird and bent and gets really narrow on this end, I'm probably gonna start right here, take this chunk of lean out, and then give it the old scoop. This is gonna be a weird looking brisket. Beautiful. Round this corner off, round this back corner off. We got a big chunk of fat right there. Final little touches. If you see a big pile of fat, shape it up. That's looking pretty much perfect to me. Got a nice good shape on this. Good amount of fat, but not too much fat. Flatten it out a little bit. And there we go, nicely trimmed brisket. Let's go ahead and get this seasoned up. And for our rub today, I'm going with the good old-fashioned Chuds BBQ SPG. Designed this specifically for briskets because that's what I've been using for years. It's just 2 parts pepper, 1 part salt, 1/2 part granulated garlic, but because I use it so much, I figured you might as well bottle it up to make my life a little bit easier, and you can get some too if you want, or you can make your own. But nice heavy coating all the way around. Because it's so pepper heavy, we can get away with a lot of seasoning without over salting this thing, and all that extra pepper is gonna give us a really good bark. Beautiful. Flip it over and do the same to this side. And of course, folks, we're not going to forget the sides because that would be a rookie move. And it's all about building those layers of flavor. If you're new to the channel, I'm not a big fan of binders because this rub appears to be sticking just fine. And that is looking pretty much perfect to me. Let's go ahead and fire up the pit. My footwear contains a serpent, okay? And on the pit we go. Pretty traditional brisket cook today. Fat cap up, fatty side towards the fire. Make sure everything is nice and plump. And we're gonna just rock a nice clean fire for the most part. Probably start it out a little lower, around 250, nice and smoky. And then we'll bump it up to around 275 and rock that until it's time to wrap this thing up. So we'll check back in on this in a little bit. All right, y'all, it's been about 9, maybe 10 hours at this point. This thing is taking a long time to cook, but it's finally come up to an internal temperature of around 180 degrees. Ow! And as you can see, bark is looking beautiful, nice and smoky. So now we're gonna go ahead and give it the old foil boat. Beautiful, making sure to cover up that really pointy part of the lean, give it a little extra protection. Any edges that are feeling a little crispy, just trying to get some protection on that as well. And now back on the pit we go, still rocking about 275, 300 degrees, like I have been for the last few hours, until this comes up to an internal temp of around 200, 205, and probing and feeling nice and tender. And after another 2 hours on the pit, off this brisket comes. This thing is huge. Doesn't even fit on the tray, but I'm gonna get this foil boat nice and tight, and into my tester oven this goes at 150 degrees to rest overnight until tomorrow. Next up, we're gonna get our sauce started for these enchiladas. Starting with going into this hot, dry pan with some chilies. These are some Ancho chilies that I took the tops off and de-seeded. Got a couple guajillos going in, and a couple of these Arbals for a little bit of heat. And we're just gonna dry toast these for just a minute or two. And after just a couple minutes, these are warmed through, getting a little bit of smoke coming up, but it's really just trying to unlock these flavors. But now I'm gonna go in with some beef stock. This is a homemade smoky beef stock. Highly recommend making it because you get all the gelatin in there. Nice and thick. And we're gonna let these steep for just a little bit. And now that that's up to a simmer, into this food processor we go. Usually I do this in a blender, but I left my blender at the Chud shop, so this will have to work out. I'm gonna pop the lid on this and let that steep and steam away in there for probably about 10 minutes. Next up, we're gonna get these onions cooked off. So in this pan here, I'm going in with a little bit of oil and 1 yellow onion. Ooh. Also gonna throw in our jalapeno and just cook these down for a couple minutes. Also gonna go in with a big fat pinch of salt. Probably add more later, but might as well get it started. These are looking pretty good, nice and softened, not really taking on too much color, but just trying to cook them down a little bit. So I'm gonna make a little well in the middle here. And going with a little bit of tomato paste and let that fry down for a couple of minutes. Also going with our garlic at this point and get that nice and toasted as well. Starting to smell really good. And now I'm gonna go in with just a little bit of flour, which will help thicken up this sauce and kind of get a roux going. So I'm just gonna cook that down for just a minute or two. And now in with some more beef stock. Beautiful. And now back to the blender. Chilies are looking very good, smelling great. And I'm gonna go in with all of the veg we just cooked up. Also going in with some cumin and some oregano. And we'll throw another big fat pinch of salt in there and get that blitzed up. I'm gonna go with some more beef stock as well. Beautiful. I was really worried there for a minute because it was looking pretty chunky, but I let it run for like 5 minutes and now it is nice and smooth, but still would probably be easier in a Vitamix. Love the consistency of this. It's pretty thick from all the gelatin in that stock. Ooh, that's good. A lot more kick than I was expecting, but I'm also gonna go in with a little lime juice to brighten it up. And a pinch of salt. As always, be sure to taste and adjust, and our sauce is done. Next up, let's go ahead and get some corn tortillas knocked out. Starting going into this bowl with some mozzarella yellow corn masa. Love this stuff, works really well. And we're doing equal parts of masa and water. Warm water, that is. And just get that all nice and mixed up. And when making corn tortillas, depending on the weather or anything else, you might have to adjust. So if it's feeling too wet, you can add some more masa and vice versa. And just like that, it comes together really nice and quick. And it's way easier than making flour tortillas. I'll tell you that much. And now I'm gonna weigh some balls out. Not really sure how big to make these. We'll do, this one's 40 grams, so it looks like a pretty good size. But I'm gonna press this out and cook it off to see if it's big enough. Busting out the old tortilla press here. I really like this one. It's got a lot more leverage because of this front action than the ones that I build. But so it works better for corn. But just got some plastic wrapped down to make sure nothing sticks. Lid goes down and we press. Oh yeah, looks pretty good. Nice and thin. Got the Chud press fired up next to me, so I'm gonna cook this off real quick. Oh, don't fight me. Yeah. Well, messed that one up. And just like that, beautiful looking corn tortilla that I ripped a little bit. Ow, very hot. But into the tortilla warmer they go. I'm gonna knock the rest of these out. Not gonna lie, this has been incredibly tedious and I'm just not having good luck. I think maybe this is too hydrated or something, but we're knocking them out. And the best part is they don't really need to be pretty because they're all gonna be covered in sauce inside an enchilada at the end of the day. So, all right, finally got all these knocked out, steaming away in here, looking pretty nice, honestly, and smelling great as well. And at long last, it is finally time to check back in on this brisket. It has been chilling in my oven at 150 degrees overnight, just like this, and out it comes. Ooh, smelling real nice. Oops, oh no, what have I done? Oh goodness, oh good. Nice and barky though, feeling nice and tender. I'm gonna go ahead and just slice it right in half, right down the middle here. Ooh, crunchy bark. Nice looking piece of brisket right there, nice and juicy, good fat render. But yeah, I'd eat that. And we'll start by taking off the burn ends here. The best bite of the brisket, looking very nice, good amount of bark on there, nice and smoky. And yeah, that's a nice looking piece of fatty brisket. Get this second slice going, and we'll take a look at this. Looking very nice, good render, and a good amount of marbling in there. Love it, because who doesn't want to take a bite out of this beautiful, juicy fatty brisket? Love it. Now, I'm not sure if I'm gonna do chopped beef or slices in these enchiladas. I think a slice would be nice, but chopped would probably eat better. But either way, I'm gonna slice this up, take a bite of one of these burn ends real quick. Sneak peek. So beefy. God, that is good. Fantastic brisket, folks. Can't go wrong with the foil boat. Pretty lean though. Man, this is a big brisket. Look at the size of that. Big old chunk of meat. So after thinking about it for a little bit, I think I am gonna do some chopped beef, because what makes sense to me is to just take some of our enchilada sauce, which looks a lot like barbecue sauce anyway, and just chop that in for a little extra flavor. It also makes cleaning up this board a little bit easier. Get all those table juices in there. Looking pretty tasty. Oh yeah. That's really good. Never had chopped beef with enchilada sauce in it before, but tasty stuff. All right, I think it's finally time to make these enchiladas. Starting out by going into our intended vessel here with some sauce. Boop, beautiful. Pop that over here. And then grab our nice warm tortilla, run it through the sauce, plop it down, go down with a bunch of our beautiful chopped up brisket here. Hit that with a little Oaxaca cheese and some sharp cheddar. Realize you probably overstuffed it. Yep, you can get this. Yeah, there we go. Roll it up all nice, and then into the vessel. Boop. And now we're just gonna repeat that process and hope that I made enough tortillas to fill this thing up, which is something I should have thought about earlier. Anywho, no one said that this was gonna be a healthy or light dish, folks. But that's not why you come to this channel. I am curious though, what should we enchilada next? Classic chicken enchilada, some whole hog, that would be good. Beautiful. Alrighty, I'm gonna knock the rest of these out. And just like that, we got these all knocked out. Fits perfectly. We go on with a little more sauce, which is why it's important to use a good beef stock when you're making this sauce, because there certainly is a lot of it. And you may be thinking to yourself, hey man, why did you make so much sauce? And that's because it'll freeze really well and make this whole process a lot easier next time. And of course, to finish this off, you know, we got to cover it with a bunch of cheese. Don't be shy now. Layer of Oaxaca and some cheddar. And I haven't had enchiladas in a long time. Pretty exciting. And just like that, looking beautiful. So now I'm gonna throw these on the pit, which I just fired up to 350 degrees. You could obviously put these in the oven, but that's no fun. And these should probably only take about 20, 25 minutes. We're really just trying to heat them through and melt that cheese. So check back in a little bit. And just like that, off the smoker these come, looking nice and cheesy and nice and melted. And just for good measure, a little fresh cheese, because, well, I've got it, to be honest with you. And also, I mean, just look at it. That looks so good. All right, to finish garnishing this up, I'm gonna go down with some crema. Ooh. Yes, please. A little cotija, as if we need more cheese. God, I'm not gonna go to the bathroom for like a week. And then, of course, a couple of leaves of cilantro, because we're trying to be healthy, folks. Beautiful. I'm gonna let this cool down for a couple minutes, and then we're gonna dive on in. All right, y'all, I'm trying to plate this up, but those corn tortillas are super soft, and it's a little bit difficult. Also, it's still really hot, but I mean, that looks really good. Oh no. And there it is, folks, all plated up. I definitely should have let this cool down a little bit more, because it was pretty hard to plate this. Probably because of all that brisket fat in there, as you can see on the plate here. But I think it's time to dive in and see how this came out. Ooh, cheesy. Dude. That is phenomenal. God, that's really good. Sometimes on these videos that are pretty labor intensive, I never really think about the end result, but that is truly spectacular. Wow. It's crazy with all the cheese and the sauce and all the beef in there, how much corn tortilla flavor really comes through. Perfect amount of heat. When I was tasting the sauce, I thought it was gonna be a little too spicy, but yeah, it's really good. I'm gonna eat a lot of this. Just so cheesy, so beefy. That is so good. The brisket is the perfect texture for this. It goes perfectly with that sauce and all that cheese and those freshly made corn tortillas. Ow. This is just comfort food at its finest, you know? If I need a lazy couch day or it's pouring rain or something, this is exactly what I'm looking for. I mean, come on, you want to take a bite of that. I know you do. There's really nothing that I'm missing here. There's nothing I want to add. Maybe something crunchy with a little more textural contrast would be nice, but I don't think so. I think this is a winner, folks. And even though it's covered in cheese and all sorts of stuff, I feel like I could eat more brisket this way than just brisket by itself, which doesn't make sense, but I guess I'll have to put it to the test. This is definitely a perfect example of Brad tries way too hard to make something simple, and I'm gonna keep this one around, because if you just pull some leftover meat out of the freezer, use some store-bought corn tortillas, you know, whip up a quick sauce, this comes together pretty quick, and it is phenomenal. Ow. This doesn't go to hold. Brooke's out of town this weekend, and she's gonna be very upset that she missed out on this one, so I'm gonna have to make it again. It's interesting, with the chilies in the sauce and the smoked beef, it really kind of reminds me of a Texas chili, which got me thinking I should just make enchiladas with Texas chili con carne. Is that a thing? Let me know in the comments. But for now, ow, you gotta make this one, folks. But before I destroy another 4 of these, I think it's time for the official taste test, and I'm a little concerned, because this is not really finger food. Let's see. That'll work. The cheese holds it together. I mean, with this very last bite of enchilada, I think it's time for the official taste test. Ow! I'm still going. Ow. All right, y'all, and that is it. That is how to make some absolutely incredible smoky brisket enchiladas. I highly recommend giving this one a try. Like I said, you can make this as easy or as hard on yourself as you want to. I definitely recommend putting the effort in because it is just so good. And I can't wait to make them again. Maybe something else. Barbacoa, perhaps? Maybe. I don't know. But all that being said, if you enjoyed this video, let me know by hitting that subscribe button. Let YouTube know by dropping a like on this video. If you give this recipe a try for yourself, be sure to tag me on Instagram at Chuds BBQ. I'd love to see what y'all are cooking. Big shout out to all the Patreon members. Thank you for supporting Team Chud and allowing me to keep making all these videos. And until the next time I see you, please go cook something outside. Peace.